Alrighty, we are live. I'm gonna skip our wonderful video intro for this evening.
We don't need it.
No need to go through it for this. Jesse Williams, Texas Cannabis Collective, our Lone Star Collective legislative update. I'm joined by co-host Gramps. You're down in Austin, right? You're already.
Yep, just sitting in a hotel room, relaxing, getting ready for the hearing tomorrow.
So yes, we have a hearing tomorrow. House Bill 3,652 relating to the regulation of cultivation, manufacture, distribution, sale, testing, possession, and use of cannabis and cannabis products. It is authorizing the imposition of taxes and fees. We are actually going to have a committee hearing about adult legalization in Texas.
It's kind of nuts.
Yeah. I believe I told somebody today this is monumental. It really is for our state.
Yeah, it really is. And, we didn't expect it. We knew the bills were filed, and this is one of several legalization bills that have been filed. But, we didn't really expect to see any movement on any of them. So this is new, unexpected. We were a little bit slow rolling out things as far as, getting people motivated for testimony, et cetera, because we just wanted to verify not only with the bill author and his office that what the bill's intent is, but that they wanted our support, and they do. But mainly they don't want a lot of people crowding and clogging up the committee hearing. If you live close and you want to come testify, that's fine. Keep it short and sweet, to the point. This is, like I say, this is monumental. We don't want to cloud the arena with a bunch of nonsense, nonsensical testimony about how you were arrested, this, that, and the other things. This is strictly about legalization, adult use program. It's time that Texas move forward, and you simply support the bill is all we need to hear. If you have a story that you want to do, the best bet, in my opinion, is the virtual testimony. Right, yeah. Jesse?
Yeah, virtual testimony. I wish we could, if we had people who were going to just show up, they were going to go back to the registration tablet, mark down they support it, and sit there to watch, I'd say, yeah, go for that.
Absolutely.
Show those types of numbers. If you want to show up and you want to mark down that and just be there to show a strength in numbers, that's great. If you're showing up to nitpick about it, that is probably the worst thing you could do if you have not been invited by Moody or any of the representatives to give an expert testimony. So pretty much if you're not actively working in an industry, possibly in another state, and you're a resident of Texas, or say you're in the current hemp program, it's probably not advised that you show up to give a long, lengthy testimony.
No, not at all. I mean, like Jesse was pointing out, we don't need antagonistic testimony. We don't need to hear about how this should have happened a long time ago and all that kind of stuff. We all know that's true. But we have an opportunity to make a statement. And I want to talk about this a little bit more when we get on into it here. But we have an opportunity for a lot of Texans to stand up and publicly make a statement and make it part of the record. Even if this bill doesn't move anywhere, that is going to make massive, massive moves toward the 2025 session. Because let's face it, we still got the Senate side to deal with, and we know what that entails. But what we need is people to just simply say, I support this bill for this reason or that reason. Simple, short, and sweet. That's all it needs to be. And whether you're going to be doing it virtually or in person, if you have a lengthy story about how cannabis has helped you and you want to share that, by all means, submit that virtually. You can submit, I think it's up to 3,000 words, isn't it, Jesse?
I believe so. You're allowed to put quite a bit in there. And the thing that I thought of today is you keep it positive that even if you don't like the idea of full legalization, we haven't had many opportunities this session for people to go in and make comments that they want to see progress beyond like our hemp program or beyond what our medical program is offered in just the medical bill that's went forward. And this is a way of showing that Texas has the taste for it. We've got all these polls, and anybody could just say, well, I don't think that poll was done right, or there's a disparity. Maybe there's something wrong with the means of distribution on it. Anybody can nitpick a poll apart. But when we have a committee hearing where you get to put down in the legislative record how many people came to support this, that sets the record.
That's the point that I wanted to make. When I was referencing a moment ago, the polls have said for at least the last 4 years that I know of that 67% or more, depending upon the poll, support the full legalization of cannabis in the state of Texas. I can't stress it enough. I mean, I know we're not gonna, but I can't stress it enough. If 67% of the population of the state of Texas, do the math, that's over, I said 18 million on our last podcast episode. I was being conservative because I couldn't remember. I did the math again. It's over 19, almost 19 and a half million people. 67% of the Texas population. So if 67% of the Texas population were to go online and do a little one-line statement, I support House Bill.
Doesn't even have to be 67%. If we even had 1% of even those numbers going and putting in testimony, it would probably set a record for how much testimony was put on a bill ever.
Absolutely.
It would blow out anything else we've ever done.
It would open the eyes to the naysayers that we've been fighting for so long, and we all know who they are. I mean, that's just what I like to say. If you have the opportunity, put your position in. You don't have to put a long story. All you got to do is say, I support this bill for passage, and that's it. And there's the link right there. I'm sure we'll put a link in the comments or description of this video when it's finished. I'm sure Jesse will handle all that. He's so good at it.
It should be in the description of it. I've got
it's
comments.
Already there. Okay.
People are asking about making the link clickable, and unfortunately, we put it in the description. It's not clickable as such.
Clickable there, but it's not that hard to copy and paste when it's in the description.
I'll say this: if you're on an iPhone and you're viewing this live, you can always take a screenshot. Go into photos. There's a little option. It pretty much comes up where it realizes there's text there. You can easily copy and paste it. So take a screenshot of this if you want. That's why I made it like this, make it easy. And it's about having positive virtual testimony at this point. That even if I get it, there's things that I can see people have issues with on this bill, and it's one of those things of now's not the time to be, as we say, like the negative Nancy about it.
Yeah,
or a negative Nate.
Let's talk about the bill for those that don't know. This bill basically will allow you to own and or possess, however you want to word it, gift, transport, every aspect basically of possession and giving. It doesn't say anything about selling, so be wary of that. But up to 2.5 ounces of flour and 15 grams of concentrate, which is a very large amount. People say that doesn't sound like a lot, but that's a lot of concentrate, 15 grams. I mean, geez Louise. Where that's not is when you start talking about brownies and stuff like that. Then, you can add up to 15 grams pretty easy. But when you're talking about dabs and wax and things like that, or vape cartridges, 15 grams is a lot. At any rate, so that's what it allows. It also allows you to cultivate, as long as it's in a secure enclosed location, up to 12 plants per person. That's huge. That's huge. I don't care what anybody says. I mean, that's Oklahoma. You can only grow 6 plants on their medical program. So 12 plants would be huge, right? So,
and obviously you got to lock it up.
There's problems
stuff like
with the bill, but there's also positives, like the things that they're doing right. Whereas you got, I can't even think of which states it is in particular, but I know like Illinois, New York, and some of the others, they have outrageous. California, it's like 48% tax by the time you get paying
Oh yeah.
all the taxes. And they're talking 10%, folks. 10%. You can't bitch about that, folks.
I think
Sorry.
alcohol's.
You
I think
can't.
alcohol's currently taxed more than that. Like
No
I
doubt.
think.
No
I think
doubt.
in Texas, if you go to a restaurant, the alcohol like there's their sales tax, and then there's like the, as we call it, the sin tax of buying alcohol that gets thrown on top of it. And I'm not
Yeah.
sure if that's changed recently, but I know that totals up more than 10%.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you're still going to have, I think, sales tax in addition to that. This is a 10% in addition to sales tax.
Yeah.
But still, that's in comparison to other states, that's a drop in the bucket. I mean, that's actually looking at something from the correct perspective if you want to battle the black market per se and not make the pricing outrageous, right?
And if you're growing your own, what 10% then?
I mean,
That's
I
the
got
thing.
news for you. There's no way in heck I could consume 12 plants worth of cannabis year round. Dude, do you realize if you're even halfway good at cultivation, the amount of cannabis that would be for your personal use? It's insane.
Yeah, like I look at the comments, people are like, "Yeah, 12 plants is excellent," and leaves room for like clubs, things of that nature. It's like you say, most places it's 6 plants, so we're getting an extra 6. It's like not much
Mhm.
room to complain with that.
No, I mean that alone is massive. Now, let's be realistic. How far will this bill go, Jesse?
Yeah, that's something I was asked today. Is like, how far would I think it would go? And I was like, realistically, it isn't going to go far. It isn't going to
No.
go. It likely isn't even going to get to the House floor. Hence, the big notion is that we got to put down positive testimony that we want to see this.
The more positive,
We have the appetite.
that's the key thing. The more positive testimony, and like I said, the more simple to the point, I support this bill. That's it. I
That's all.
support this bill to passage.
Heck, I'm fine with people saying I support movement like this bill
Yeah,
for cannabis in
anything.
Texas.
I support anything like this bill, even, if you want to word it that way. If you want to say, I support this bill, even though it doesn't go far enough, in my opinion, you could even say that. But the point is positive in nature. The more we put out there, the more positive uh, input that they get, the farther this bill is going to go, number one. Number two, the better chances we got 2 years from now of having real change happen, because there's something that this hearing is going to cause, going to trigger in the process that we've never had happen before, and that's kind of unique. And it's kind of boy, it's starting to rain like crazy here. I don't know if you can hear that or not.
I can hear it now.
Yeah, it's beating on the window like crazy. Um, but the more positive change this will bring is by forcing just the fact that this has a committee hearing. Doesn't matter if it gets a floor vote or not. The fact that it has a committee hearing will force there to be economic impactual studies during the interim to be carried out by the Texas legislature. And that has never had to happen before, but now it will. And that is going to open a lot of eyes, folks. A lot of eyes.
Well, very much so. That's, listen, just the fact that it's there, that's why I say it's monumental. It's something that the discussion that we finally opened that discussion box. The toothpaste is out the tube, and it's insanely difficult to put it back.
Yeah, absolutely.
So and this is why we're doing this today. It's like, and we tell you're watching this, share it with people, let them know. We've got an event on our Facebook page about this. tell them, invite them,
Share,
tell them, hey,
share that link. Share that link. Share that link. Get them to submit their testimony. It takes less than 5 minutes.
and there's something I noticed in the bill, scrolling through it now. I love this language that sits here. The commission shall adopt rules for the reasonable regulation of cannabis growers and cannabis establishments, which means that if we do have court cases, it's going to have to be determined on whether or not it was reasonable. And that's one of those key things that was in the smokable hemp case, was, are these regulations reasonable under the Texas Constitution? And it pretty much, the whole thing got dodged because our Supreme Court in Texas could go, well, that wasn't in the bill. It's not about whether it was reasonable there. Pulled this tradition number that was just insanely odd, saying it wasn't tradition that we had hemp or cannabis in Texas, despite obviously before prohibition of cannabis it was.
Yeah.
But it's nice seeing this language. The commission shall adopt rules for the reasonable regulation of cannabis growers. And if they want to have their debate in that commission, fine. That's the place where that should take place.
Well, and that continues to talk about restricting the use of dangerous pesticides, regulate packaging, labeling, advertising, display, all the things that everybody's concerned with. Even, I mean, it does have also restrict the maximum amount of THC or tetrahydrocannabinol, but I mean, you're not going to get that one. You're not going to get a legalization bill in Texas without that line.
Oh yeah.
In there. Period.
Or like the stuff like or like you can't have something that looks like commercially sold candy, because obviously that's already got its own legal battles going on.
Absolutely, and we don't want that anyway. We don't want that anyway. I mean, let's be reasonable, folks. We want legitimate, reasonable regulations that give us safe products and they don't market to children. And that's pretty much what this bill does.
Listen, we're already age gating it to 21. No reason to make anything that anybody could try to accuse as marketing to children. And to me, it's not smart to do something in a way that, like I said, there's already legal battles going on about the trademarks and things of that nature. So don't get yourself in the middle of an already big litigation issue that's unresolved.
Absolutely.
It's to me, those are tricky cases as a person who's in a mass comm major right now, and we talk about these types of things. It's something of like, I've asked attorneys, like, is this fall under, could somebody get parody? And you look at cases over the years with trademark parody, it's weird. It could go either way.
Yeah.
So we don't want to jump into something like that where it's a seesaw of, is it acceptable or not?
Yeah.
So what else is this? Is got to, obviously you got to get a license to operate as the grower establishment, things of that nature.
Sure. And I think it talks about in there about establishing fees and whatnot for those licenses. It doesn't say what those fees would be at this point. That's something that would come later, obviously.
Commission, reasonable regulation. Let's see, duty to maintain qualifications, written notices, suspending and revoking licenses. Obviously, if you're in violation, DPS is gonna take your stuff. Which, most things of what we're creating is gonna probably be kind of tough for you to really want to go out of regulation. That just, like you said, if an individual, what individual right now on their own is going to be using 12 plants in a year? I imagine it's possible. But man, that's a plant a month, and a plant produces quite a bit.
Yeah, and if you can grow 12 at a time, you're going to get, 2-3 harvests a year?
Yeah.
There's no way you're going to use all that. I mean, if you're making things like RSO and stuff like that, okay, you might.
I say, if you're making stuff like that, you're going to go through it.
But if you're just using it for normal consumption, that's more than any one person can do. And you think about it, if you're a couple, that's 24 plants.
And this is something I wondered about. I'm glad I'm scrolling through it, because I imagine there's people who have been convicted in the past for certain offenses, And it notes, it says a person's conviction for an offense other than an offense under 481.122 that involves the delivery or possession of marijuana, as defined in .002, does not disqualify an applicant for licensure. So basically, it sounds like if you got busted for holding at one point,
Yeah.
you're going to be able to grow. It's not going to keep you out of the loop. That's pretty monumental as well. I'd say almost don't expect that for Texas. So it seems like a nice moral change for once from our legislature and what's going forward in a committee hearing of all places. Duties relating to dispensing it, the products. You can't obviously have drug paraphernalia other than a physical address approved by the department. Monthly sales reports, taxes. Subject to sales tax, the 151 tax code. And a tax is imposed on each sale of cannabis product establishment, 10% of the sales price of the cannabis or cannabis product. And it's in, like you said, it's addition to any other tax imposed by law.
Yeah.
So let's see where our taxes are going. That seems to be the next section. Allocate the net revenue derived from the tax imposed, 10% as a local share to municipalities which they're located, and 10% of local share of the counties in which the cannabis establishments are located, and 1% to testing and quality control funds, and an amount certified to the comptroller by the commission to fund established under that section, and the remainder to public school teachers fund. So congratulations, Texas. If we can get legalization moving forward, you can pay
We
teachers
give our
with weed
teachers a
money.
raise.
Yeah, pay teachers with weed. I think it's a good idea. Was it right at the beginning of the pandemic? We had a poll that came out and said that I think it was like 65-70% were in favor of legalization.
Yeah.
And there was more than 50% like conservatives too. They were like, yeah, if you're going to take the tax money and give it to fund school teachers and schools, we're good with it. So from what it looks like, in here, there's 10, 20, 1, and then whatever is certified by the comptroller to fund the commission. So I imagine it's probably another 20 to 25%. So I'd say roughly, you probably get 50% of it's going to go, if not a little bit under that, is going to go to school teachers. So if we have a $1 billion market collecting 10% tax on that, that's what? $100 million?
Mm-hmm.
And 50 of it goes to teachers by default. And that's just on that market, that number.
Yeah.
It's probably going to be more than that.
For you. You know, I've had several discussions with people about their studies on what the revenue would be in Texas. And granted, at a 10%, it's going to be a little bit less than what I've been saying. But, you know, they're saying $1 billion if Texas was to have a legal market is the expected revenue stream, about $1 billion per year initially. I think it's going to be about double that.
Well, I can see
and
that.
I say that simply because Texas population is such massive quantity in comparison to every other state outside of California. You know, I mean, and the argument was presented to me that New York's got a lot of people, you know, just like Texas. And I said, yeah, you're right, but I don't think they got as many as Texas. So I went and looked it up. Texas is right at 29, a little over 29 million, right?
Yep.
New
So
York
29.
State, New York State is
like 10, 11?
19,
oh,
a little over 19 million. So Texas has right at 10 million more people than even New York State. So, and the only reason why California is not a good person to, or a good state, not person, to use as an example is because so much of their cannabis sales is through the black market and illegal storefronts because their taxes are so outrageous.
Yeah, that's an issue.
You know, it's a major issue. You see news story after news story after news story in the last 4 or 5 years about it. I just saw another one just a couple weeks ago. You know, so you can't compare California's tax revenue to what Texas might be based on population, because most of the people aren't paying the taxes.
and that reminds me of something. I took a trip to Mexico this past year at the end of the year, and one of the first things that my wife was asked by Shore Patrol out there when she mentioned being from Texas was, they're like, why haven't you guys legalized or moved your medical market forward? And it was like, of all things, that's what you want to ask? And it's like, yeah, every state that borders us right now that has done these moves, the cartel problems have gone away. It's put a real damper on the cartel there, and that they're focusing more on the Texas border now because we're the state where they can make their moves at for things like this. And that it becomes painfully obvious that when we start moving this forward, this is a way we fight our fentanyl crisis. This is a way we fight our cartel issues. It is a way we stop part of our immigration issues that are taking place. We talk about how we want to end these issues at our border. This is a awesome way to do so, and our federal government has admitted to it as well. Was it both the DEA and the FDA have come out and said, hey, well, we're seeing where places have changed these rules and made it accessible. We don't have these overdoses. We don't have this cartel activity in the same levels anymore. I believe even DeSantis was talking about that. Yeah. This last year.
Yep.
He admitted, he goes, hey, we changed our medical market, and look what it did to benefit us from these things.
Well, it just makes sense all the way around. I mean, you saw, or maybe you didn't, I don't know, the most recent thing with the Pharmacists Association. The National Pharmacists Association came out and said that they support decriminalizing all drugs. Period. That's huge. When the pharmacies, the pharmacists themselves are saying, end this shit. Because they know the reason why there's a black market, because there's a drug war. There's a lot of it. They're trying to control things too tightly is the other part of it. I mean, granted, don't get me wrong. They have to have the Controlled Substances Act has to be there. They have to have processes for the controlled substances. Mind you, the ones that need to be on the list. But what they don't have to do is hold their little finger on it, like they're doing with pharmacies and pharmacists with painkillers and everything, and even doctors. I mean, it's crazy the regulations they have to go through these days just to write a prescription. At any rate, we probably, I don't know what you think, Jesse, but since we're out here, we probably ought to throw a sponsor break up and then maybe hit the comment section to see if we got any questions to answer or anything. What do you think?
Yeah, I'll say if anybody's got questions, want to make comments, go ahead and put them in. We're going to do a sponsor break real quick. We are talking about House Bill 3652 by Joe Moody, adult legalization for marijuana in the state of Texas. So we will be right back after our sponsor message. Find my sponsor message.
Howdy, Colt Power here. These days, many people are choosing to add CBD to their wellness routine. Why? Some like CBD for how it may help them with their focus. Others enjoy the way the plant compound may assist them with their sore muscles and relaxation. For me, CBD has been a game changer in keeping my old sports injuries managed so I can work out and be present for my family. If you've ever been curious about CBD, I invite you to check out our Texas-grown, Texas-made products at powerbiofarms.com. That's power, BIOPHARMS.com.
Thrive Apothecary offers an experience truly unique from anything else in Texas. A full-service cannabis solution that is doctor-owned and offers customers every level of cannabis legally available in Texas. From traditional CBD products to emerging hemp-derived THC edibles, smokables, and now medical cannabis. As a licensed medical cannabis provider, prospective patients from anywhere in Texas can book a sponsored online eligibility consultation to determine if they qualify for a medical marijuana prescription from the comfort of their own home. Plus, for Texas veterans, the first prescription appointment is donated by Thrive. Visit thrivetx.com for more information.
Welcome back to the Lone Star Collective podcast, the official podcast of the Texas Cannabis Collective, distributed on Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, and many more, to give Texans information regarding policy, industry, and culture. And now, back to this week's show.
Yeah, back to this week's show. Yeah, I'm your host, Jesse Williams. We're talking about with Gramps House Bill 3652, and that is the adult legalization.
That's not my bill, but anyway.
Joe Moody's bill. You round of applause at Joe Moody. I'm not sarcastic. That guy, not sarcastic with that. That is a hardworking man. There ever was one that I've gotten to meet the legislature. A lot of them are hardworking. I'm not going to disparage any legislator. That's a crack shot job.
Well, let's clarify a little bit. Joe Moody is a very hardworking man for our subject, cannabis law reform. He works very, very hard for lots of things, but he does work very, very hard on this subject. In fact, his House Bill 218 penalty reduction bill is up for a House floor vote tomorrow as well, along with this hearing on the legalization bill. So we don't want to forget about that. You can call your reps and say, hey, vote for House Bill 218. It's imperative that this bill progresses. It's one of the better penalty reduction. It's not decriminalization, it's penalty reduction, but it's one of the better penalty reduction bills that have been presented, because it does concentrates and flower all at the same time, and it's a good bill, period. It's a good bill.
Let's see, plenty of stuff coming from him, and it's, he said, it's flower and concentrates, which is a combination of previous bills that we've seen come through. Like I said, the big thing, positive virtual testimony. Is somebody says, so how long until something might change for the better? Looking at our comments that are coming in, I'd personally say, like I said, don't expect this to pass this session.
No.
I'd say if you get 1 million people commenting, you may see a House floor vote.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. If a shit ton of people were to just flood the switchboard and the comments on the online comments for the bill, for the hearing, it would make an impact, no doubt, on how far this bill was to go, because people are going to stand up and go, shit.
I'd say, commented. I wonder if it's an appropriate move that as many people as possible are hitting up virtual testimony, that the servers cannot handle it, and getting a news report that the Texas legislative site crashed because people who wanted to see change were so adamant about trying to get their virtual testimony in that's news.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome. I think we probably got a long way to go to get there.
Yeah.
But it would be awesome, to see us crash that thing. Just like we keep saying, it would be awesome to see the number of people at the Capitol for this, as we do for like the gun lobby, either for or against, either side. If we could get those kind of numbers, we would see change a whole lot faster, people.
For sure.
It's all in the numbers.
Then how soon after will this bill be in effect if passed? So I have gone to look at the bill. Bring the screen back up. Not later than July 1st, 2024, the Texas Commission on Licensing and Regulation shall adopt rules as required to implement, administer, and enforce Chapter 491. No later than November 1st, 2024, the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation shall begin licensing cannabis growers, cannabis establishments, secure transporters, testing facilities in accordance with Chapter 491. And the act itself takes place September 1st, 2023. So if it got signed, it'd go into effect September 1st. And in under a year, the Commission of Licensing and Regulation will have to create their rules. And then shortly, a little bit after, about a year and 2 months, they had to have all the growers, establishments, stuff like that. They had to have some license by then.
Yeah. So, but in essence, what this tells me, you're not going to be able to have growing and all that going on, but the sales and possession could be as early as July 2024. The way I'm reading that, because they don't have to grow it here to sell it, right? So,
and that makes me wonder, if you grow a hot hemp crop during that time frame and you have a license, can all of a sudden your hot hemp crop now be sold as a regular cannabis product?
I bet not, just because of the regulations on the hemp side. But be an interesting question and conversation to have, wouldn't it?
Oh yes, for sure. Always interesting.
I mean, it would. This bill would open the door to so many things. Because I mean, let's face it. And right now, I hear a bunch of people going, July 2024, blah blah blah. September 2024. Okay,
too long.
Well,
that's actually pretty record track time for a cannabis program.
Pretty when you compare it to other states that have passed bills on their own, or even through ballot initiative. By the time they finally got sales happening, sometimes it's 3-4 years. But what I was going to say is, number one, the majority of the people that are out there going, July, September, are just like me, that say, doesn't matter whether this bill passes or not, I'm going to keep smoking anyway, right? So quit buying and whining. Be happy things are moving forward. That's my message. Because, right, those who do are going to keep doing what they're those who are waiting will have to wait, not near as long as a lot of people in other states have had to wait. So those are two very important things to keep in mind when you go, July, September.
Yeah.
Because another thing I was going to say, if this bill didn't pass or doesn't pass, which like we really won't think will go anywhere in the Senate. I mean, even if it gets sales through the House, it's not going to go anywhere in the Senate, we don't think, because who runs the Senate? But if 2.5 million people were to get involved in this on the House side, might change his mind a little bit, though, because his big statement is people of Texas aren't there yet. We got to tell him we're there, folks. Anyway,
exactly. That's why we want this testimony in here, to say you support it. You show that you're there, even if you're one of those people that's like, I'm gonna keep smoking. Even if you're gonna say, I'm gonna keep smoking regardless. How about this? You keep smoking regardless. You type up 10 words showing you want to support this, you want to see change, and click submit.
Because that will get the point across to the powers that be.
Sitting on social media saying I'm going to keep smoking is not a medium in which they gauge how Texans want to see change.
No, people getting involved in things like this, what you see on the bottom of your screen right there, well, you just took it away, about submitting your virtual testimony. There it is again. It's easy. Comments.house.texas.gov/home ? C = C350. Write it down, folks. If you can't copy and paste.
The Licensing and Affairs Committee. If you go to the Texas Legislature website, look at the Licensing and Affairs Committee. They have PDFs of all the meetings that are coming up. And the next one is obviously the 26th. If you click on that PDF to look at it, there's a link inside there that says you can submit virtual testimony here. And that is where we got this link. And it is easy. It is quick. It's actually quicker and easier to do the virtual testimony from your phone or your home computer than it is to go and actually try to register yourself on the tablet.
Oh, yeah. That's
at the Capitol. And then one at the tablet at the Capitol, you can't actually submit comments. You say, I support it.
Yeah. You're either full on, for, or against.
Or you're neutral on it. There's that little neutral option that goes in there.
I always forget about the neutral because I've never used that one. But, yeah, I mean, the point I was getting at, though, the other point I was getting at is this bill doesn't go anywhere. The alternative to it passing, right? If it doesn't go anywhere, we're looking at 2025. before we can do anything on the legalization side of things. Because if this bill doesn't go anywhere, none of the rest of them, it's probably the only one that's going to get a hearing in reality. But it does open the door for those interim economic studies that have to be done and revenue studies that have to be done. And if by chance, some miracle, please submit your comments. By some miracle, we get 2 or 3 million people to comment positively for this bill, it might go through the House, and it might get to the Senate, and it might get to the floor, and Lord knows what could happen then. I mean, stranger things have happened, folks. In reality, stranger things have happened, but they don't happen without your involvement. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
That's all
That's
I
the
have
thing,
to say.
like, people have to get involved. And this is, like I say, this is almost like an official poll to see where Texas is at with this. And
It's exactly what it is. It's exactly what it is. It's an official legislative poll to see where we stand. And if we don't tell them, they're going to say they don't give a damn about this.
It's your shot, people. As Eminem says, you only get one shot. Do not miss your chance to blow. The opportunity comes once in a lifetime.
Catches the worm, as they say. Well, that's all I got, Jesse. What we have any comments, anything interesting?
There's been, and also other people are saying they submitted their statements. People are thanking us for the info. The stuff we've answered, people talking about, yeah, they're glad to see that this is coming up. They're liking the numbers that they're seeing. And I say, if you're one of the hemp people, this only benefits you. It really does.
Yeah.
You know, people are like, "Oh, it's going to
hurt
me."
You're already set up.
It's like you're already set. Yeah, you're already set up. And it's just really a shifting of which license you're getting into at that point. It really is. Some minor modifications, and you're in a cannabis market again. And then, congratulations, you can change your advertising as well. I think you market yourself way better.
No doubt.
You got to submit people. I mean, and you got to tell your friends. It's all about word of mouth, unfortunately, and telling people, saying, "Hey, go submit a testimony. Just say I support this bill." It's not hard.
Yeah, I made one phone call today on my drive to Austin and called a friend and said, "Hey, did you see that event we made on Facebook?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "I can't believe we got a hearing on a legalization bill." I said, "Yeah." I said, "I know you can't come to Austin to testify." I said, "Did you submit your testimony?" And he said, "What do you mean submit my testimony?" I said, "Dude, read the event. It's in the event description. Big, bold letters. Submit your testimony virtually." He said, "We can do that." I said, "Yeah." He said, "Oh, hell, I'm telling everybody." I said, "Exactly. That's what we need. Everybody.
And I'm gonna admit, I gotta say, I know somebody's gonna ask me at some point. So why didn't we see an article come out, and why didn't we see this? This is that. Unfortunately, I've been plagued with health issues of my own, and not a lot of people know. Some people know I got hospitalized for COVID because I had pulmonary issues. I got hospitalized a little bit over a month ago, and then I got hospitalized about a week and a half ago for smoke inhalation, helping try to stop a house fire, doing the good citizen
By the way,
deed.
we're glad to see you doing good, Jesse.
I'm not gonna act like it hasn't been a tough recovery, because, man, 30 seconds will mess you up royally. But at least the help I put in for that, the person's going to keep their house. And it's not going to have to be demolished or anything of that nature. So it's one of those things, no good deed goes unpunished, as they say. But this today, I was like, I gotta find some way to get people alerted to this. We got to get knowledge out to people. We got to let them know. Go submit these testimonies. Right there. Good person right here.
You've got to do it. You've got from now until the committee hearing adjourns tomorrow.
So I want to make note about that.
As early as 10 a.m.
Because there's not many bills on the list.
No, there's only 4 or 5 bills on this committee. So it's liable to go very, very fast. Especially being licensing and administration committee, it's liable to go extremely fast. So do it now. Get your friends to do it now. Don't wait till tomorrow morning. Do it now.
I'm pulling that up. Yeah, there's only 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4 bills total. 3016, 3148, the 3652 that we're wanting, and 4426. That is it. And they're starting at 8 a.m. They're limiting testimony to 3 minutes. It's in the description. So yeah, they're going to go through this quickly. So get out there, people.
Do it now.
Go.
Do it now. Do it now.
Alrighty. Is there anything else you want to add?
That's it, man.
Senor Gramps.
That's it, brother.
Alrighty. Well, that's going to wrap it up for our little legislative update because we've been at this for 45 minutes. So,
long enough.
Long enough. Enough information. Everybody can say they can make an informed decision and they can go make an informed, positive comment.
I
Keep
support
it short
the bill.
and sweet. Like, I support this bill. Or I support bills like this. Even that's fine. Show you want to see change and you want to see change in this positive direction. So, I was your host, Jesse Williams, joined by co-host Gramps for our legislative update this evening. Everybody enjoy their week. Make sure you're going and submitting your virtual testimony if you're not showing up to just show your support and logging in there. Everybody have a great week.
Good night.
You still recording?